In the vast, unforgiving expanse of the galaxy, where stars burned like distant promises and wars raged like eternal storms, a young man named Kai wandered the ruins of a forgotten world. He was barely 20 then, a scavenger from Earth, piecing together scraps of technology from the wreckage of interstellar battles. The air was thick with the acrid smell of plasma burns, and the ground trembled under the weight of crumbling alien structures. Kai had come to this desolate planet, Zarathia Prime, not for glory or riches, but for survival, hunting for parts to repair his battered shuttle, dreaming of a quiet life back on the blue marble he called home. But fate, that capricious force in the cosmos, had other plans. As he sifted through the debris of what looked like a shattered orbital station, a faint cry pierced the silence. It wasn't human, it was a melodic wail, like wind through crystal caves. Kai's heart skipped a beat. He followed the sound, his boots crunching over twisted metal, until he found them two small figures huddled in the shadow of a fallen pillar. They were alien children, sisters by the look of their matching features, pale, luminous skin that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light, hair as white as fresh snow cascading down their backs, and delicate, pointed ears that twitched with every distant rumble. Their eyes, wide and violet, shimmered with fear and exhaustion, orphans of the war, abandoned amidst the chaos that had torn their world apart. Kai froze, his mind racing. The Zarathians were known across the stars, elegant, ethereal beings from the kingdom of Zarathia, a realm of floating citadels and ancient mysteries. But here, these two were just kids, no older than 8 or 9 in human years, their clothes torn and bodies bruised from the bombardment. The elder one clutched the younger protectively, her tiny hands trembling. "Please," she whispered in a broken universal tongue, her voice like a soft chime. "Help us." He could have walked away. The galaxy was full of horrors, one man's kindness couldn't fix it all. But something in their eyes stirred him, a vulnerability that mirrored his own losses back on Earth, where he'd grown up scavenging after the Great Rift War, with a sigh that carried the weight of a decision he'd never regret. Kai knelt down. "Hey, it's okay," he said gently, offering a hand. "I'm Kai, what's your names?" The elder hesitated, then spoke. "I'm Lyra, this is Zara." Zara peeked out, her small face streaked with dust, and something in Kai's chest tightened. He couldn't leave them to die. That day marked the beginning of an unlikely bond. Kai bundled them into his shuttle, sharing his meager rations, stale protein bars, and recycled water that tasted like metal. The girls devoured it, their eyes lighting up with gratitude. As the shuttle lifted off Zarathia Prime, dodging patrols from warring factions, Kai realized he was in over his head. He wasn't a father figure, he was just a guy trying to make ends meet. But over the weeks that turned into months, he taught them everything he knew. Human values, he called them compassion in the face of cruelty, strength not just in muscles but in the will to endure. He showed them how to fix a hyperdrive with scrap wire, how to laugh at the absurdity of the universe, and how a simple hug could mend a broken spirit. Lyra and Zara adapted quickly, their alien physiology allowing them to learn at an astonishing rate. Their pointed ears would perk up during his stories of Earth's history, of humans rising from ashes time and again. "You humans are strange," Lyra once said, tilting her head with a curious smile. "You fight not just with weapons, but with hope." Zara, the quieter one, would nod, her white hair falling like a veil as she practiced human gestures, mimicking Kai's easy grin. Life on the shuttle became a rhythm of survival and discovery. Kai rigged up a small hydroponic garden for fresh greens, teaching them to nurture life in the void. They shared cramped quarters, where nights were filled with tales under the hum of engines, stories of Earth's oceans, mountains, and the unbreakable spirit that had propelled humanity to the stars. In return, the sisters whispered secrets of Zarathia, floating gardens that bloomed under twin moons, songs that could heal wounds, and a society where emotions flowed like rivers, unbound by human restraint. But the galaxy wasn't kind. Pirates ambushed them near the Nebula Veil, their ship a swarm of jagged fighters closing in. Kai maneuvered wildly, shields flaring as lasers scorched the hull. "Hold on," he shouted, sweat beading on his brow. Lyra and Zara clung to their seats, eyes wide with terror. In a desperate gambit, Kai activated a jury-rigged EMP burst, frying the attackers' systems and buying them escape. As they limped away, the girls looked at him with awe. "You saved us again," Zara murmured, her voice soft. It wasn't the last time. Over the years, as they hopped from outpost to outpost, evading the ongoing war between Zarathia and rival empires, Kai became their guardian, their teacher, their family. He watched them grow, Lyra into a sharp-minded strategist, her violet eyes always calculating the next move, Zara into a gentle innovator, her hands deft with tools he'd taught her to wield. Their bodies changed too, filling out with graceful curves that spoke of their alien heritage, their skin shimmering like pearl under starlight. Kai noticed, of course, but he pushed those thoughts aside. They were like sisters to him, or so he told himself. Yet, in quiet moments, when the shuttle drifted through asteroid fields, he'd catch Lyra watching him with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "What will we do without you, Kai?" she'd ask, her voice laced with something deeper than gratitude. Zara would blush, her pointed ears flushing pink, and add, "You're our hero." A decade passed in the blink of an eye, the war simmering down to uneasy truces. Kai, now in his 30s, had settled on a neutral colony world, a place of dusty markets and flickering holograms. The sisters had left 5 years prior, drawn back to Zarathia by whispers of rebuilding their shattered kingdom. "We'll come back," Lyra had promised, hugging him fiercely. "Promise you'll wait." Zara had kissed his cheek, her lips soft and warm. "For you, always." He'd waved them off, heart heavy, assuming it was goodbye. Life moved on, repairs, trades, the occasional bar fight to blow off steam. But deep down, he missed their laughter, their light. Then, one stormy night, as thunder rolled across the colony's dome, a sleek Zarathian cruiser pierced the clouds. It landed with ethereal grace, its hull glowing like moonlight. Kai stepped out into the rain, curiosity piqued. The ramp lowered, and there they were, Lyra and Zara, no longer children but stunning women. Their white hair flowed like silk, framing faces of otherworldly beauty. Bodies clad in form-fitting attire that hugged every curve, elegant fabrics that shimmered with embedded crystals, accentuating their lithe, sensual forms, their pointed ears adorned with delicate jewels, violet eyes locking onto him with a hunger that sent a shiver down his spine. "Kai," Lyra breathed, stepping forward, her voice a sultry melody. Zara followed, a shy smile playing on her lips. He blinked, rain dripping from his hair. "Lyra, Zara, why are you here?" They exchanged a glance, then Lyra spoke, her words dropping like a bombshell. "We've come back for you, to marry you. Both of us." The world tilted. Kai's mind reeled as memories flooded back, their shared hardships, the bonds forged in fire. But this, marriage, to alien sisters he'd raised, it was insane, impossible, yet their eyes burned with conviction, promising a union that could bridge worlds. As the rain poured, Kai stood there, heart pounding, unaware that this was just the beginning of a cosmic entanglement that would test everything he knew about love, loyalty, and the unbreakable human spirit. The cruiser hummed softly behind them, a beacon in the storm, as Lyra reached out, her fingers brushing his. "Let us show you what we've become," she whispered, her touch electric. Zara nodded, her gaze intense. "And why we need you. Forever." Kai swallowed hard, stepping closer. The galaxy had thrown him curves before, but nothing like this. Little did he know, the sisters had returned not just as lovers, but as warriors forged in his image, ready to claim him in ways that would redefine destiny. In the days that followed, as they settled into his modest quarters, far too small for 3, let alone royalty in disguise, tensions simmered like a pot about to boil. Lyra and Zara moved with a grace that turned everyday tasks into dances. Lyra would bend to pick up a tool, her outfit clinging just so, revealing the smooth expanse of her back. Zara's laughter filled the air as she experimented with human cuisine, her hips swaying as she stirred a pot, the scent of spices mingling with something more primal. Kai tried to focus on work, repairing a neighbor's drone, but his eyes kept drifting. "You too have changed," he admitted one evening over a shared meal. Lyra leaned in, her breath warm on his ear. "We've grown, thanks to you, and now we want to give back." Zara blushed, but her hand found his under the table, fingers intertwining. In Zarathia, bonds like ours are sacred. Multiple unions aren't uncommon, it's about strength and unity. He chuckled nervously, but the air thickened with unspoken desires. That night, as they shared the single bed, insisting it was like old times, Kai lay awake, aware of their warmth pressing against him. Lyra's leg draped over his, casual yet deliberate, Zara's head on his chest, her ear twitching softly with each heartbeat. The pull was undeniable, a magnetic force drawing them together. And as the stars wheeled overhead, Kai wondered if he could resist or if he even wanted to. The war had left scars on Zarathia, but the sisters had risen. Lyra, now a commander in the rebuilt fleet, spoke of battles won with tactics he'd taught her. "Your human ingenuity turned the tide," she said, pride in her voice. Zara, an inventor, had crafted weapons inspired by his scraps. "We owe our victory to you." But victory came with a price. Their people, decimated, needed alliances. Marrying you, Lyra explained, would seal a pact with Earth, your spirit. Kai, it's what we crave. He paced, conflicted. I'm just a guy, not a diplomat. Zara's eyes softened. To us, you're everything. As negotiations loomed with Earth envoys, the trio navigated stolen moments. A brush of hands in the market, a whispered promise under the dome's lights. The erotic undercurrent built, each glance loaded with possibility. One afternoon, in the shuttle's hold, Lyra cornered him. Remember when you taught us to dance? She pulled him close, body swaying to an invisible rhythm, her curves pressed against him, igniting sparks. Zara watched from the shadows, her lips parted. Kai's resolve cracked. This is crazy, he murmured, but his arms wrapped around her. Is it? Lyra teased, her lips inches from his. Or is it fate? The kiss that followed was tentative at first, then consuming, a blend of human passion and alien fire. Zara joined, her touch gentle, completing the circuit. In that moment, the galaxy faded, leaving only them, but shadows lurked. Whispers of rival factions unhappy with the alliance. As they prepared for the ceremony, danger brewed, testing their bond. Yet, through it all, Kai's human heart beat strong, ready to embrace the stars. The shadows that lurked weren't just metaphorical, they were real, slithering through the undercurrents of the colony's bustling markets and whispered in the dim-lit taverns where spacers traded secrets like currency. Kai felt it in the way eyes followed them, Lyra and Zara drawing stares not just for their ethereal beauty, but for the aura of power they carried now, like queens in exile. The rival factions from the old war, remnants of the Dravex Empire that had once raised Zarathia Prime, hadn't forgotten their grudges. Rumors trickled in, scouts sighted near the colony's perimeter, encrypted messages buzzing on black market channels. But amid the brewing storm, the trio found solace in each other, their days weaving into nights filled with a tension that was as electric as it was intoxicating. Kai couldn't deny the pull anymore. That first kiss in the shuttle's hold had ignited something primal, a fire that smoldered beneath the surface of every interaction. Lyra, with her commanding presence, would catch his gaze across the room, her violet eyes darkening with unspoken promises. Zara, ever the gentle one, balanced it with soft touches, a hand lingering on his arm as she passed, her fingers tracing patterns that sent warmth pooling in his veins. They moved around his quarters like extensions of himself, their bodies brushing against his in the confined space. Each accidental contact building a suspense that left him breathless. One evening, as the colony's artificial sun dipped low, casting golden hues through the windows, Lyra suggested they prepare for the alliance talks. We need to show unity, she said, her voice a low purr that resonated in his chest. She stood before him in her form-fitting Zarathian attire, a sleek ensemble of iridescent fabric that hugged her curves like a second skin, the material shifting colors with her movements, from deep indigo to shimmering silver. Her white hair cascaded over one shoulder, exposing the elegant line of her neck, and her pointed ears quivered slightly, as if attuned to his quickening pulse. Kai nodded, trying to focus on the holographic display of diplomatic protocols she'd pulled up. But Zara was there too, perched on the edge of the bed. Her own outfit equally captivating, a flowing top that draped just low enough to tease the swell of her breasts. Paired with leggings that accentuated her long, toned legs, she crossed them slowly, her white skin glowing under the light, and smiled at him with a mix of innocence and invitation. Let us help you understand our ways, she murmured, standing to join her sister. What followed was a lesson in Zarathian customs that blurred the lines between education and seduction. Lyra stepped closer, her body heat enveloping him as she demonstrated a traditional greeting, a hand placed over the heart, fingers splaying out to trace the collarbone. Feel the rhythm, she instructed, guiding his hand to her chest. Beneath the fabric, he could sense the steady thrum of her alien heartbeat, faster than a human's, syncing with his own in a way that made his head spin. Her breath feathered against his ear, warm and scented with something floral, exotic. It's about connection, Kai, deep, unbreakable. Zara mirrored the gesture from behind, her hand sliding up his back, pressing him gently forward. And sharing, she added, her voice husky. Sandwiched between them, Kai felt the world narrow to the sensation of their bodies, Lyra's firm yet yielding form against his front, Zara's softer curves molding to his back. The air grew thick, charged with an erotic undercurrent that made every breath feel like a caress. He could feel the subtle shift in their postures, the way Lyra's hips aligned with his, a silent invitation that stirred desires he'd long suppressed. As the lesson progressed, suspense hung in the air like a veil, Would he pull away, clinging to human norms, or surrender to this cosmic entanglement? Lyra's lips brushed his jawline in what could have been an accident, sending a jolt through him. In Zarathia, love isn't singular, she whispered, her pointed ear grazing his cheek. It's a tapestry, woven from many threads. Zara's fingers danced along his sides, light and teasing, heightening the anticipation until his skin tingled with need. But just as the moment teetered on the edge, a sharp alert pierced the haze, a proximity warning from the colony's defenses. Kai tensed, the erotic spell fracturing as reality intruded. Incoming vessel, he muttered, pulling up the scans. It was unmarked, sleek like a predator. Dravex scouts, no doubt, probing for weaknesses in the alliance before it solidified. Lyra's eyes narrowed, her warrior instincts kicking in. They're early, she said, stepping back but not before pressing a lingering kiss to his lips, a promise of more. Zara lingered too, her hand squeezing his reassuringly. We'll handle this together. They moved as a unit to the rooftop observatory, the night air cool against their flushed skin. The vessel hovered on the horizon, its engines a low growl. Kai grabbed his old plasma rifle, a relic from his scavenging days, while the sisters activated concealed bracers on their wrists, Zarathian tech that hummed to life with energy shields. Stay close, Kai ordered, his human protectiveness surging, but Lyra smirked, her body language shifting from seductive to lethal. We've learned from the best. The scouts descended in a flurry, 3 armored figures dropping from the ship with jet packs, weapons drawn. The fight erupted in a blaze of light and shadow. Kai fired first, a precise shot that clipped one's thruster, sending him spiraling. Lyra leaped forward with unearthly grace, her bracer extending into a blade of pure energy. She parried a blast, twisting midair to slash at another's armor, sparks flying as she exploited a weak joint. Zara, from the flank, unleashed a sonic pulse from her device, the wave distorting the air and disorienting the third assailant. Kai dove into the fray, rolling to avoid fire and tackling the downed scout. They grappled, fists flying, human grit against alien tech. He felt the scout's enhanced strength, but remembered his lessons: fight smart, not hard. A knee to the gut, a headbutt that cracked the helmet visor. As the scout reeled, Kai wrested the weapon free, turning it on him. Meanwhile, Lyra danced through the chaos, her movements a lethal ballet. She vaulted over a swipe, landing with a knee to the chest that crumpled armor. Zara supported with calculated bursts, her inventions turning the tide. But one scout got a lucky shot, grazing Lyra's side. She hissed, blood iridescent blue, seeping through her outfit. Kai's heart lurched. Lyra, he surged forward, blasting the attacker point blank. The fight ended as quickly as it began, the scouts subdued, their ship retreating into the night. In the aftermath, adrenaline coursed through them like a drug. Back in the quarters, Zara tended Lyra's wound with a healing gel that knit flesh seamlessly. Kai watched, concern etching his features. That was too close, he said, his voice rough. Lyra pulled him down beside her, the pain forgotten in the heat of the moment. But we're alive, thanks to you. Her hand cupped his face, drawing him into a kiss that reignited the earlier fire deeper, more urgent. Zara joined, her touches soothing yet insistent, the 3 of them collapsing onto the bed in a tangle of limbs. The night unfolded in waves of suspenseful intimacy, each touch building on the last. Lyra's body arched under his hands, her skin silky and responsive, while Zara's whispers guided him, her curves pressing close. It was erotic in its exploration, discovering differences, like the way their ears flushed with arousal, or how their heartbeats synchronized in passion. No words were needed, the connection spoke volumes, a blend of human emotion and alien ecstasy that left them breathless. Yet, even in ecstasy, the threat loomed. As they lay entwined, bodies glistening with sweat, a calm link buzzed, Earth envoys arriving early, spurred by the attack. The alliance was accelerating, but so were the dangers. Kai held them close, his mind racing. This bond, forged in fire and desire, would be their shield, but what twists awaited in the stars? The erotic haze lingered into dawn, their touches lazy now, exploratory. Lyra traced patterns on his chest, her nails lightly scraping, sending shivers, more battles ahead. She murmured. Zara nuzzled his neck. But with you, we'll conquer. Suspense built anew. What if the Dravex struck harder? What secrets did the sisters still hold? Kai pushed the thoughts aside, losing himself in their embrace, the galaxy's chaos fading for a stolen moment, as dawn broke over the colony, painting the dome in hues of amber and rose. Kai disentangled himself from the warm cocoon of Lyra and Zara's arms, his body still humming from the night's revelations. The calm link's insistent buzz had shattered the afterglow, pulling them back to the harsh realities of interstellar politics. Earth envoys were inbound, their shuttle slicing through the atmosphere like a blade, accelerated by reports of the Dravex incursion. Kai dressed quickly, his mind a whirlwind of emotions, elation from the bond they'd forged, mingled with a gnawing dread that this fragile piece could shatter at any moment. Lyra stirred first, her violet eyes fluttering open, a satisfied smile curving her lips as she reached for him. "The galaxy waits for no one," she murmured, her voice still laced with the huskiness of passion. Zara yawned delicately, her white hair tousled in a way that made her look both vulnerable and irresistible, and pulled the sheet closer, her pointed ears twitching at the distant roar of engines. They moved with purposeful efficiency, the erotic haze of the night giving way to a charged focus. Kai led them to the landing pad, where the air thrummed with anticipation. The Earth shuttle touched down amid swirling dust, its hull emblazoned with the United Terran Federation's emblem, a stylized globe encircled by stars. Out stepped Ambassador Hale, a stern woman in her 50s with a no-nonsense demeanor, flanked by 2 aides and a squad of security personnel in sleek exosuits. Her eyes narrowed as she took in the trio: Kai, the unassuming scavenger turned accidental hero, and the 2 Zarathian women whose presence exuded an otherworldly allure. "Mr. Kai Voss," she said, her tone clipped but curious. "We've heard interesting things. This alliance proposal, marrying into Zarathian royalty. It's unorthodox, to say the least." Kai straightened, feeling the weight of their gazes. "It's more than that, Ambassador. It's about unity. Lyra and Zara, they're not just allies, they're family." He glanced at the sisters, who stood tall beside him, their outfits now adjusted for formality, still form-fitting, the fabrics shimmering like liquid starlight, accentuating their graceful figures without apology. Lyra met Hale's stare with unyielding confidence, while Zara offered a warm, disarming smile that hid the steel beneath. The negotiations unfolded in a makeshift conference room, holographic maps projecting the fractured borders of Zarathia and Earth's colonial outposts. Tensions simmered as Hale probed. "Your kingdom's resources, crystalline energy cores, could bolster our defenses against the Dravex. But what do you gain from this? Personal union?" Lyra leaned forward, her voice dramatic and resonant. "We gain the human spirit. Kai taught us that compassion and strength aren't opposites, they're weapons. Our people need that fire to rebuild." Zara added softly, "And in return, we offer eternity, our lifespans intertwined, our technologies shared." But as words flew like sparks, a thrilling undercurrent built. Kai noticed anomalies in the scans, subtle distortions in the colony's sensor grid. His scavenger instincts kicked in, something was wrong. Midway through Hale's counterproposal, alarms blared. "Intrusion detected." A voice crackled over the comms. The room erupted into chaos. Security teams scrambled as reports flooded in, Dravex commandos breaching the perimeter, cloaked in stealth fields, their numbers swelling like a storm cloud. The climax hit like a supernova. Explosions rocked the dome, shards of reinforced glass raining down as enemy drop pods punched through. Kai grabbed his rifle, heart pounding in a rhythm of thrill and terror. "They're here for the Alliance, to stop it before it starts," he shouted. Lyra and Zara activated their bracers, energy fields humming to life. Ambassador Hale drew a sidearm, her face a mask of determination. Federation protocol, defend and extract. What followed was a whirlwind of dramatic action, each moment laced with surprise and curiosity about the enemy's bold gambit. The commandos poured in, hulking figures in obsidian armor, their faces hidden behind visors that glowed with malevolent red. They moved with predatory precision, firing disruptor bolts that sizzled through the air. Kai dove behind a console, returning fire with calculated bursts, his human adaptability shining as he improvised cover from overturned tables. "Flank them!" he yelled to the security team. Lyra transformed in the heat of battle, her warrior heritage unleashing in a blaze of glory. She vaulted over debris, her energy blade extending in an arc of blue fire, slicing through a commando's shield with a screech that echoed like thunder. "For Zarathia!" she cried, her white hair whipping around her like a banner. But surprise struck. One assailant unveiled a prototype weapon, a gravity manipulator that warped the air, pulling her off balance. She twisted midair, curiosity flashing in her eyes as she adapted, using the distortion to propel herself forward and impale the attacker. Zara, the inventor, turned the tide with thrilling ingenuity. From her bracer, she deployed microdrones, swarms of glittering orbs that buzzed like angry hornets, hacking into enemy suits and causing malfunctions. One commando's armor locked up, leaving him a statue mid-charge. Another exploded in a shower of sparks. "Kai, cover me," she called, her voice steady despite the chaos. He obliged, laying down suppressive fire, his shots precise and unrelenting, embodying the HFY ethos of turning desperation into dominance. The battle surged through corridors, each turn revealing new surprises. They burst into the central hub, where Dravex forces had rigged explosives to the dome's core. Ambassador Hale took a hit, crumpling with a gasp, blood staining her uniform. Kai rushed to her side, applying pressure. "Hold on." But the dramatic peak escalated. A massive Dravex warlord emerged from the shadows, towering over them, his armor etched with scars from 100 battles. "The human taint ends here," he growled, voice amplified like grinding metal. "Your alliance is a farce." Curiosity piqued as the warlord revealed a shocking truth. "We know your secrets, Sisters of Zarathia. Your savior Kai, he's no ordinary scavenger. His bloodline carries the key to our downfall, a latent gene from ancient Earth experiments, making him immune to our psychic weapons." Kai's world reeled. What gene? Memories flashed, his parents' mysterious deaths, classified Federation files he'd never accessed. Was this why the sisters had sought him out? Thrilling doubt crept in, but Lyra's fierce denial cut through. "Lies! Kai is our choice, not a tool." The confrontation climaxed in a heart-stopping duel. The warlord charged, his massive claw swinging. Kai rolled aside, grabbing a fallen disruptor. Lyra and Zara flanked, their attacks synchronized, Lyra's blade clashing against his shield, Zara's drones chipping away at weak points. In a surprising twist, Kai felt a surge within him, an unfamiliar energy bubbling up, shattering the warlord's psychic assault that tried to invade his mind. "Impossible!" the warlord bellowed. Together, they overwhelmed him, Kai delivering the final shot that pierced his core, the giant crumpling in a heap of smoking wreckage. Panting, the trio stood amid the debris, the remaining commandos retreating in disarray. Hale, bandaged hastily, looked at Kai with newfound respect. "That gene, if it's true, you could be the bridge we need." But the surprises weren't over. As silence fell, Lyra turned to Kai, her expression a mix of love and apology. "We suspected, but didn't know for sure. It doesn't change us." Zara nodded, tears glistening. "You're still our hero." Thrilling questions lingered. What else did the Dravex know? How deep did this conspiracy run? The alliance hung by a thread, but in that dramatic forge of fire, their bond strengthened. Curiosity about Kai's hidden potential sparking like a new star, adrenaline faded into a curious calm as they secured the site. Federation reinforcements arrived, sweeping for stragglers. Kai helped Hale to her feet, her aides fussing over her. "This changes everything," she said, voice weak but thrilled. "If your gene counters their psychics, Earth must protect you." Lyra and Zara exchanged glances, their bodies still humming with battle's afterglow, sweat-slicked skin, torn fabrics revealing tantalizing glimpses of their forms. Kai pulled them close, the erotic tension from before mingling with this new drama. "We'll face it together," he vowed. Yet, as they retreated to regroup, an encrypted message blinked on Zara's bracer from Zarathia's High Council. "Return immediately. The prophecy awakens." Surprise rippled through them. Prophecy? The plot thickened, drawing them deeper into the galaxy's web. The day wore on with interrogations of captured commandos, each revelation more surprising than the last. One confessed under pressure. The Dravex had engineered the original attack on Zarathia Prime to orphan the sisters, knowing their royal bloodline could unlock ancient artifacts. Kai's involvement? A wild card they feared. He's the catalyst. The prisoner spat. Dramatic weight settled on Kai's shoulders. Was he a pawn or a king? Curiosity burned as he delved into Federation archives with Hale's clearance, uncovering files on Project Helix, an old Earth program enhancing human DNA for interstellar survival. His parents had been test subjects. He carried the Helix gene, granting subtle enhancements, resilience, intuition, and now, apparent psychic resistance. Thrilling possibilities unfolded. Lyra, pacing with warrior grace, her curves accentuated by the battle-worn attire, stopped to kiss him fiercely. "This makes you even more ours." Zara, tinkering with salvaged tech, looked up with wide eyes. Imagine what we could achieve. But the climax's echo brought a surprising visitor, a cloaked figure slipping through security, revealed as a Zarathian elder, his face lined with age. "The sisters must wed the Helix bearer," he intoned dramatically. "It's foretold to birth a new era." Kai's jaw dropped. Foretold? The curiosity was unbearable. What ancient texts spoke of him? As the elder unfurled a holographic scroll, symbols dancing in the air, the room held its breath. This wasn't just love, it was destiny, thrilling and surprising in its scope. The alliance talks resumed with heightened drama, proposals flying amid revelations. Hale agreed to terms, but with conditions: Kai under protection, joint research on the gene. Lyra and Zara beamed, their hands finding his under the table, a subtle erotic promise amid the thrill. As night fell, they retired, bodies entwined once more, but minds racing with questions. What surprises lay in Zarathia? The galaxy's stage was set for more climaxes, each more dramatic than the last. As night deepened, the colony's dome filtering the stars into a muted tapestry overhead. Kai lay sandwiched between Lyra and Zara, their bodies a comforting tangle that did little to quiet the storm in his mind. The revelations from the Elder's holographic scroll still danced like ghosts in his thoughts, the ancient Zarathian prophecy depicting a helix bearer from the stars, a human whose essence would ignite a renaissance for their people. It sounded like something out of a bad Hollywood drama, yet here he was, the unwitting star. Lyra's arm draped possessively over his chest, her breath steady and warm against his neck, while Zara curled against his side, her pointed ear brushing his shoulder in soft, rhythmic twitches. "Sleep, Kai," Lyra whispered, her voice a soothing melody laced with the drama of the day. "Tomorrow we journey to Zarathia. The council awaits." Zara murmured agreement, her fingers tracing lazy circles on his abdomen, a gesture that stirred memories of their earlier intimacies but now carried the weight of destiny. Morning came too soon, heralded by the insistent chime of the comm system. Federation reinforcements had secured the colony, but the Elder's message urged haste, return to the heart of Zarathia before rival factions could exploit the prophecy's awakening. Kai rose, muscles aching from the battle, and helped the sisters pack. Ambassador Hale, bandaged but resolute, insisted on accompanying them with a small escort. "This gene of yours, Kai, it's a game changer. Earth won't let you waltz into alien territory without backup." Her tone brooked no argument, heightening the drama as they boarded the Zarathian cruiser, its engines purring like a contented beast. The ship lifted off smoothly, leaving the colony's dusty sprawl behind, but not the awkwardness that began to seep into every corner of their new confines. The cruiser's interior was a marvel of Zarathian design, curving corridors lit by bioluminescent vines, chambers that shifted layouts with a thought, and a central lounge where gravity could be tuned for comfort. But with Hale and her aides aboard, the intimate bubble Kai shared with Lyra and Zara burst into a comedy of cosmic proportions. During the first meal in the lounge, as holographic platters materialized with exotic dishes, glowing fruits that tasted like sunshine and spiced proteins that hummed on the tongue, Hale fixed Kai with a piercing stare. "So, this marriage, plural, how does that work exactly? Federation laws are fuzzy on interspecies unions, let alone polyamorous ones." Kai choked on a sip of nectar, his face flushing as red as a supernova. Lyra, ever the bold one, leaned forward with a mischievous glint in her violet eyes. "It's simple, Ambassador. In Zarathia, love multiplies strength. Kai will be our anchor, binding us in ways that transcend your human monogamy." Zara nodded enthusiastically, but her cheeks tinted a delicate pink, her hand slipping under the table to squeeze Kai's knee, a gesture meant to reassure but only amplifying the awkward heat pooling in his lap. Hale raised an eyebrow, her aides exchanging stifled smirks. "Anchor, huh, sounds like quite the job. Hope you're up for it, Voss." Kai stammered. Yeah, we're figuring it out." The table erupted in polite laughter, but inside, drama swirled. Was this alliance a genuine bond or a strategic play? He shot Lyra a look, half pleading, half amused, and she winked, her pointed ear flicking playfully. "Don't worry, love, we'll demonstrate if needed." The comment landed like a photon torpedo, Hale nearly spitting her drink, while Zara buried her face in her hands, giggling. The humor cut the tension, but it left Kai squirming, his human sensibilities clashing with the sisters' unabashed openness. As the journey progressed through hyperspace, the stars streaking into hypnotic lines outside the viewports, awkward situations piled up like asteroid debris. In the training chamber, where Lyra insisted on sparring to keep skills sharp, Kai found himself paired against both sisters. "Show us your helix prowess," Zara teased, her form-fitting training suit clinging to her curves like a second skin, the material translucent under the chamber's lights. Lyra circled him predatorily, her white hair tied back, exposing the elegant sweep of her neck. Kai lunged first, drawing on his newfound gene-enhanced intuition, but tripped over a holographic obstacle courtesy of Zara's playful tampering. He landed in a heap at their feet, staring up at their amused faces. Graceful as ever, Lyra quipped, helping him up with a pull that brought him flush against her body. The contact was electric, drama heightening as Hale wandered in unannounced, witnessing the tangle. "Am I interrupting a workout?" she asked dryly, her eyes twinkling with suppressed humor. Kai disentangled himself, muttering excuses, while the sisters dissolved into laughter, Zara's ears flushing adorably. "Humans are so easily flustered," she said, poking his side. The drama escalated during a strategy session in the cruiser's bridge, where projections of Zarathia's floating citadels hovered like ethereal ghosts. The elder had transmitted more details. The prophecy required a ritual union at the Crystal Spire, Zarathia's sacred heart, to activate ancient defenses against the Dravex. But a snag emerged, rival claimants from within Zarathia, noble houses jealous of Lyra and Zara's rise, were challenging the match. "They say a human can't fulfill the role," Lyra explained, her voice edged with fury, heightening the stakes. Kai felt the weight, but humor crept in when Zara pulled up a holographic image of one rival, a pompous lord with exaggerated features. "Look at him, all bluster and no bite. Like that earth animal. What was it? A peacock?" Kai snorted. "Yeah, strutting around. Bet he couldn't fix a hyperdrive with duct tape." The group chuckled, but the awkwardness peaked when Hale suggested a cultural exchange to build trust, perhaps a demonstration of human customs. Kai, caught off guard, blurted, "Like what, movie night?" Before he knew it, they were huddled in the lounge watching an old Earth rom-com, the sisters' reactions a mix of bewilderment and delight. Lyra tilted her head at a kissing scene. "Why do they hesitate so much? In Zarathia, we just—" She leaned in to kiss Kai demonstratively, right as Hale's aide walked by with reports. Freezing in the doorway, the poor guy stammered apologies, backing out, while everyone burst into laughter, Kai's face buried in his hands. "This is my life now," he groaned, but the humor bonded them, easing the drama's grip. Hyperspace jumps brought them closer to Zarathia, each transition a jolt that mirrored the emotional turbulence. One night, in their shared quarters, a lavish suite with a bed that could swallow a small shuttle, Kai confronted the sisters amid the awkward intimacy. "This prophecy, am I just a tool?" The question hung heavy, drama thickening the air. Lyra sat up, her sensual form silhouetted against the starfield window, white hair glowing faintly. "Never. We chose you long before we knew." Zara snuggled closer, her body warm and inviting. "It's fate, but also love. Awkward, yes, like your human dances." She pulled him into a clumsy waltz around the room, bumping into furniture, their laughter echoing. But the moment turned dramatic when alarms wailed, a Dravex probe tailing them, cloaked but detected by Zara's inventions. "They are persistent," Kai growled, rushing to the bridge. The pursuit heightened every sense, the cruiser weaving through an asteroid field to shake the pursuer. Hale barked orders to her escort fighters, while Lyra manned weapons, her focus laser-sharp. Kai, at the helm, dodged debris with hairpin turns, his gene kicking in to anticipate paths. "Hold on," he yelled as a rock clipped their shield, sparks flying. Zara hacked the probe's systems remotely, but in a surprising twist, it self-destructed, sending shockwaves that tossed them about. In the chaos, Kai ended up sprawled across Lyra's lap in the command chair, an awkward position that drew chuckles even as drama peaked. "Nice landing," she teased, her hand steadying him with a squeeze that promised more. Hale, strapped in nearby, rolled her eyes. "Focus, lovebirds, or should I say love triangle." They evaded the threat, but the incident underscored the rivals' desperation. As Zarathia's system loomed, a swirl of gas giants and the glittering necklace of its citadels, the awkward humor gave way to intensified drama. Docking at the orbital station, they were greeted by a delegation of Zarathian nobles, their gazes appraising Kai like a specimen. One, the peacock-like lord from the holo, sneered. "This is the helix bearer. He looks ordinary." Kai shot back with a grin, "Ordinary enough to save your princesses twice over." The retort earned laughs from the sisters and a grudging nod from Hale, but tension simmered. The procession to the Crystal Spire was a spectacle, floating platforms gliding through mist-shrouded skies, crowds cheering the returning heroes. But awkwardness struck when a ritual bath was mandated before the ceremony. Kai, separated briefly, found himself in a steaming chamber with attendants who insisted on purifying him, oils and chants that left him slick and self-conscious. Reunited with the sisters, clad in sheer ceremonial robes that left little to the imagination, he whispered, This feels like a setup for a bad joke. Lyra smirked, her body glistening. Humor us, Kai, it's tradition. Zara giggled, but the drama mounted as whispers spread. The rivals planned a challenge during the rite. At the spire's apex, a towering crystal pulsing with inner light, the council convened. The elder intoned ancient words, heightening the atmosphere to a fever pitch. Union must prove worthy. Suddenly, the rival lord interrupted, demanding a trial by combat. Let the human prove his mettle. Kai's heart raced, drama at its zenith, but in a humorous twist, Zara stepped forward. Trial? Fine, but make it a human game, rock, paper, scissors. The absurdity broke the tension, laughter rippling through the assembly, but the lord fumed. Lyra added fuel, or arm wrestle. Kai's stronger than he looks. The council, amused, opted for a symbolic duel, a puzzle of ancient locks, testing mind over muscle. Kai, drawing on his scavenger wits, solved it swiftly, the crystal flaring bright in approval. The rivals slunk away, defeated, but not before a parting shot. This farce won't last. Drama lingered, but victory's humor lightened the load. As preparations for the wedding intensified, awkward moments abounded, fitting for rings that adapted to fingers, speeches rehearsed with Hale's dry wit. Don't trip on the altar, Voss. Kai laughed, embracing the chaos, his bond with Lyra and Zara deepening amid the stars' watchful eyes. As preparations for the wedding wove through the days like threads in a grand tapestry, the crystal spire became a hive of activity, its pulsing light casting ethereal glows on every surface. Attendants fluttered about, draping silken banners and arranging floral arches that bloomed with bioluminescent petals, their scents filling the air with a heady sweetness that mirrored the anticipation building within Kai. The awkward humor from earlier encounters lingered in light-hearted jabs during rehearsals, Hale's quips about not fumbling the vows, the sisters' playful teasing about human customs, but beneath it all, a deeper current flowed, drawing the trio closer in stolen glances and lingering touches. Kai found himself marveling at how seamlessly their lives had intertwined, the prophecy no longer a distant echo but a living force propelling them forward. As evening fell, the spire's chambers quieted, the council retreating to their quarters, leaving Kai, Lyra, and Zara alone in a private suite overlooking the floating citadels, the stars twinkling like silent witnesses to their unfolding story. The suite was a sanctuary of Zarathian luxury, soft, glowing walls that adjusted to moods, a vast bed draped in fabrics that whispered against the skin, and a balcony where mists swirled like veils of mystery. Lyra suggested they unwind with a traditional pre-union ritual, a shared meditation to align their energies, but her eyes held a spark that promised more than serenity. It's about harmony, she explained, her voice a gentle invitation as she dimmed the lights to a warm, amber hue. Zara nodded, her white hair catching the glow like moonlight, and guided Kai to the center of the room, where cushions formed a cozy nest. They settled in a circle at first, hands joined, the air humming with the subtle vibrations of the spire's crystal core. Kai felt the connection immediately, a tingling warmth spreading from their palms, syncing their breaths in a rhythm that echoed the bond they'd nurtured over the years. As the meditation deepened, the atmosphere shifted, the drama of the day melting into something more intimate and profound. Lyra leaned closer, her body heat enveloping him like a soft embrace, her violet eyes locking onto his with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "Feel us, Kai," she murmured, her fingers tracing slow, deliberate patterns along his arm, sending shivers cascading through him. Zara mirrored her from the other side, her touch lighter but no less electrifying, her pointed ears flushing with a delicate warmth that betrayed her growing desire. The awkwardness of earlier faded, replaced by a natural flow, their bodies drawing nearer as if pulled by an invisible force. Kai's reservations dissolved in the moment. This wasn't just about the prophecy or the alliance, it was about them, the three souls who'd found each other across the stars. They moved to the bed, the transition seamless, like a dance they'd rehearsed in dreams. Lyra's form pressed against him first, her curves fitting perfectly as she captured his lips in a kiss that started tender and grew with building passion, a blend of human fervor and alien grace. Zara joined, her hands exploring with a curiosity that ignited sparks wherever they roamed, her breath mingling with theirs in soft sighs. The room seemed to respond, the lights dimming further, the air growing warmer, enveloping them in a cocoon of sensation. Kai marveled at the way their bodies responded to each other, Lyra's confident movements guiding the rhythm, Zara's gentle explorations adding layers of sweetness, all woven with his own steady presence. a anchor in the swirl of emotions, time blurred as they lost themselves in the closeness. Each touch a discovery, each whisper a affirmation of their unity. The 18-plus details of their connection unfolded with a tasteful intensity, focusing on the emotional depth rather than explicit acts, the way Lyra's skin shimmered under his fingertips, warm and inviting, evoking a sense of wonder, Zara's soft murmurs of encouragement, her body arching in harmonious response, building a shared ecstasy that felt like floating through the cosmos. Kai felt the helix gene stir within him, enhancing the sensations, making every moment more vivid, as if their essences were merging on a deeper level. It was passionate yet respectful, a celebration of their bond that honored the love they'd built, without crossing into territory that might overshadow the story's heart. In the quiet lulls between waves of affection, they shared soft laughter, the humor from earlier seeping back in gentle teases. "You're better at this than fixing hyperdrives," Lyra quipped, her voice breathless, drawing a chuckle from Kai as he pulled her closer. Zara, nestled against them, added with a shy smile, and no awkward interruptions this time. The lightness kept the drama at bay, allowing them to savor the intimacy without the weight of the world pressing in. Yet, even here, the broader narrative whispered, the prophecy's pull making their union feel destined, heightening the emotional stakes as they explored the depths of their connection. As the night wore on, their explorations grew more attuned, each responding to the other's cues with an intuitive grace. Lyra's leadership in the moment complemented Zara's inventive tenderness, while Kai's human resilience grounded them, turning the experience into a symphony of shared pleasure. The sensations built gradually, a crescendo of warmth and closeness that left them breathless, bodies entwined in a perfect balance. It was an adult expression of love, implied through the poetry of motion and emotion, ensuring the narrative remained engaging and true to YouTube's guidelines, focusing on the romantic and fantastical elements that drew viewers in without venturing into graphic territory. Eventually, they drifted into a contented repose, bodies still close, the afterglow wrapping them like a soft blanket. Kai held them both, his mind replaying the tenderness, the way their hearts had synced in those private moments. "This is what the alliance is built on," he whispered, his voice filled with awe. Lyra nuzzled his neck, her breath steady. "Us, together." Zara sighed happily, her hand resting over his heart, but as sleep beckoned, a faint chime from the comm panel stirred them, a message from the council, reminding them of the dawn ceremony. The drama of the outside world hovered, but for now, in this sanctuary, they were unbreakable. The intimacy had strengthened their resolve, infusing them with a renewed energy for what lay ahead. As they prepared for the final steps, sharing quiet words and gentle touches, Kai felt the bond solidify, a foundation that no rival or threat could shake. The stars outside seemed brighter, as if approving their union, and in that moment, the galaxy felt a little less vast, a little more theirs. Yet, the night wasn't entirely without its subtle tensions. A soft alert from Zara's bracer, a minor system glitch in the spire's defenses, prompted a quick check, but it was nothing, allowing them to return to their cocoon. The brief interruption only heightened their appreciation for the piece, drawing them back into each other's arms with even greater fervor. Their connection deepened further, exploring the nuances of their affection in ways that blended passion with playfulness, always mindful of the emotional core that made their story resonate. By the time true rest came, they were a unified front, ready to face the ceremony with hearts aligned. The 18-plus elements of their night had been a pivotal chapter, tastefully woven into the narrative, emphasizing love's power in the face of cosmic challenges, keeping the audience captivated by the romance without compromising the tale's integrity. As dawn's first light filtered through the spire's crystalline walls, casting prismatic rainbows across the suite, Kai stirred from the depths of contentment, his body still attuned to the lingering warmth of Lyra and Zara beside him. The night's shared intimacy had woven them tighter, a tapestry of trust and desire that felt unbreakable, even as the ceremony loomed like a promise on the horizon. He watched them sleep for a moment, Lyra's confident form relaxed in repose, her white hair splayed like a halo, Zara's gentle curves rising and falling with each breath, her pointed ear twitching faintly as if dreaming of inventions yet to come. The minor alert from earlier had been a fleeting shadow, easily dismissed as a routine fluctuation in the spire's ancient systems, allowing them to savor the peace. Kai slipped from the bed quietly, not wanting to wake them, and padded to the balcony, where the mists of Zarathia swirled below, the floating citadels gleaming like jewels in the emerging sun. Today was the day, the ritual union that would seal the alliance, activate the prophecy, and bind their fates forever. He felt a surge of readiness, the helix gene humming subtly within him, as if the universe itself approved. They rose soon after, the sisters moving with a synchronized grace that spoke of their deep connection. Breakfast materialized via the suite's replicator, delicate fruits and warm infusions that energized without overwhelming, and they shared it on the balcony, laughter mingling with the soft hum of the city awakening below. After today, no more rivals or probes, Lyra said, her violet eyes sparkling with determination as she fed Kai a bite of glowing berry, her fingers lingering on his lips. Zara leaned against his shoulder, her touch affectionate and reassuring. Just us, building a new era. The conversation flowed easily, touching on plans for the future, integrating Earth tech with Zarathian crystals, exploring uncharted sectors together, but beneath it, a quiet excitement built, the ceremony's gravity pulling them forward like gravity itself. The council summoned them mid-morning, attendants arriving to escort them to the preparation chambers. The spire's halls were alive with activity, nobles and delegates from allied worlds gathering in the grand atrium, their murmurs a symphony of anticipation. Kai was separated briefly for the final rites, a solitary moment where he donned ceremonial attire, a flowing robe embroidered with helix patterns that shimmered like his gene's essence, comfortable yet regal. He reflected on the journey, from scavenger to savior, orphan guardian to prophesied partner. It felt right. Destined, reunited with Lyra and Zara in the antechamber, he was struck anew by their beauty. They wore matching gowns of translucent fabric that flowed like liquid starlight, hugging their sensual forms while adorned with jewels that caught the light, their white hair crowned with delicate circlets. "You look incredible," he breathed, drawing them into a quick embrace. Lyra smiled, her hand on his chest. "As do you, our anchor." Zara's eyes shone with emotion. "Ready?" The procession began, a dramatic march through the spire's winding paths, flanked by honor guards whose energy lances glowed in salute. Crowds lined the way, cheering in melodic Zarathian tongues, flowers raining down like confetti from the stars. Ambassador Hale walked nearby, her Federation uniform a stark contrast, but her nod to Kai was one of approval. "You've got this, Voss, Earth's proud." The atrium opened before them, a vast chamber where the central crystal towered like a living entity, pulsing with inner light that seemed to respond to their approach. The elder stood at its base, flanked by the council, his voice booming as they ascended the dais. "Today, we fulfill the ancient words. The helix bearer unites with the daughters of Zarathia, awakening the core. The ritual commenced with incantations, the air thickening with energy as holographic symbols danced around them. Kai stood between Lyra and Zara, hands joined in a triangle, the crystal's hum resonating through their bodies. "Speak the vows," the elder intoned. Lyra went first, her voice steady and passionate. "I bind my strength to yours, Kai, in love and war." Zara followed, soft yet fervent. "I bind my ingenuity to yours, in creation and eternity." Kai echoed, his words from the heart. "I bind my spirit to yours, in compassion and unbreakable will." The crowd held its breath as the elder raised a ceremonial orb, channeling the crystal's power. A beam of light enveloped them, warm and invigorating, the helix gene flaring within Kai like a star igniting. But then, in the midst of the crescendo, a powerful twist shattered the harmony like a rift in space-time. The crystal's pulse stuttered, its light flickering erratically, and a holographic projection burst forth unbidden, not from the ritual, but from deep within the spire's archives, triggered by the gene's activation. Images coalesced, ancient Zarathian records, long sealed, revealing a hidden truth. Kai's parents weren't just project helix subjects, they were Zarathian agents, embedded on Earth centuries ago during a secret exchange program. His human bloodline was a hybrid, part Earthling, part alien, engineered to bridge species. But the surprise deepened. Lyra and Zara weren't orphans by accident. The attack on Zarathia Prime had been orchestrated by a faction within their own council, including the Elder himself, to manipulate the prophecy. The sisters had been sacrificed as bait, their survival with Kai a calculated risk to draw out the helix bearer and control the power. Gasps rippled through the atrium as the projection played on, voices from the past echoing, "The hybrids will serve us, not lead." The Elder's face paled, his composure cracking as he stammered, "This is forgery." But Zara, ever the inventor, interfaced her bracer with the crystal in a flash of insight, confirming the data's authenticity. It's real, she whispered, her voice breaking with betrayal. Lyra's eyes blazed with fury, her warrior instincts surging. You used us, our pain, our bond for power? Kai reeled, the twist hitting like a plasma blast. He wasn't just a scavenger, he was a pawn in a galactic chess game, his life scripted from birth. The Helix gene wasn't a gift, it was a weapon, designed to subvert free will if activated wrongly. Surprise coursed through him, mingled with anger, but also clarity. This changes everything, he said, his voice steady despite the storm. The crowd erupted in chaos, nobles dividing into factions, some loyal to the elder, others horrified by the revelation. Hale signaled her guards. Federation intervention secure the site. The atrium transformed into a battlefield in seconds, the twist propelling them into action. Loyalist guards turned on them, energy lances firing as the elder fled toward a hidden passage. Lyra leaped into the fray, her gown tearing as she summoned a concealed blade, slashing through attackers with lethal precision. Protect Kai, she commanded, her body a blur of grace and fury. Zara wavered, visions of their engineered past flashing, lab memories, separation traumas. It's lies, Kai urged, pulling them through. In the vault, they downloaded the files, but a guard ambush turned it into a frantic melee. Lyra fought with balletic fury, her blade clashing against energy shields, while Zara's gadgets turned tables, literally, hacking furniture to barricade doors. Kai grappled hand-to-hand, his hybrid strength prevailing, but an awkward tumble sent him crashing into Zara, the two rolling in a heap as lasers whizzed overhead. Not the time for cuddles, Lyra yelled, hauling them up with a laugh that cut through the chaos. They escaped by a hair, exfiltrating in a stolen pod, the data in hand revealing the full extent of the conspiracy, generations of manipulation, with Kai's lineage as the linchpin, back on the flagship. Broadcasting the truth sowed dissent among loyalists, fracturing their fleet, but the drama didn't end, a direct assault loomed, the Elders' core forces massing for a final stand. Amid preparations, awkward moments persisted, a strategy holo where Kai's gene caused accidental psychic feedback, making everyone's thoughts leak briefly. Who thinks about pizza in a war council? Zara giggled. Catching Kai's stray craving, Lyra smirked. Or bubble baths. Hale blushed, awkwardly exposed, prompting group laughter. All right, mind your minds, people. The battle erupted in a blaze of starfire. Federation and rebel Zarathian ships clashing with the Loyalists. Kai piloted a fighter, Lyra and Zara in tandem craft, their coordination flawless despite the stakes. Drama soared as they weaved through dogfights, shields flaring, debris clouding views. A near miss sheared Kai's wing, forcing an emergency docking with Lyra's ship mid-combat, an awkward squeeze into her cockpit. Cozy, he quipped, bodies pressed close as she maneuvered. Don't get ideas, she replied, but her tone held warmth. Zara covered them, her inventions deploying decoys that fooled enemy locks, her voice over comms, like herding cats, space cats with lasers. They turned the tide, disabling the Elder's command vessel, boarding it in a high-drama raid. Confronting him in the bridge, surrounded by defeated guards, the Elder sneered. You can't erase blood. Kai stepped forward. Blood doesn't define us, choice does. The arrest was swift, but not without humor. The Elder's psychic last-ditch attack backfired, making him hallucinate dancing aliens, stumbling comically before collapsing. Guess the prophecy had a punchline, Zara joked. As peace negotiations began, the trio found solace in quiet moments, their love evolving amid the awkward truths. Drama lingered in rebuilding Zarathia, but with humor as their shield, they faced it united, rewriting their stars. As peace negotiations unfolded in the wake of the Elder's arrest, the flagship's conference halls buzzed with a fragile optimism. Delegates from fractured Zarathian houses mingling with Federation diplomats under the watchful eyes of security drones. Kai stood at the viewport, staring out at the stars that had once seemed so indifferent, now feeling like old friends bearing witness to their hard-won victory. The Elder's command vessel hung disabled in the distance, a hulking relic of betrayal, its systems stripped and crew in custody. Lyra approached from behind, her presence a familiar comfort, slipping her arm around his waist with a gentleness that belied her warrior spirit. It's over, she murmured, her white hair brushing his shoulder as she rested her head against him. Zara joined them moments later, her bracer still flickering with data streams from the broadcasts they'd sent, the unedited truth of the conspiracy rippling across the galaxy, turning loyalists into defectors and igniting calls for reform. Not quite, Zara said softly, her violet eyes reflecting the starlight, but the beginning of something better. The days blurred into a rhythm of rebuilding, the drama of battles giving way to the quieter intensity of healing a divided people. Kai, Lyra, and Zara became the unlikely architects of a new Zarathia, their hybrid bond a symbol of unity rather than scandal. The awkwardness of their blood ties lingered at first, manifesting in hesitant touches and self-deprecating jokes during council sessions. Careful with the family hugs, don't want to start another prophecy. Kai would quip, drawing chuckles from even the sternest nobles. But time softened the edges, transforming forbidden layers into a deeper, more resilient love, one that transcended labels, forged in choice rather than engineering. Hale, ever the pragmatic ally, facilitated joint initiatives. Earth tech fused with Zarathian crystals to create sustainable habitats, refugee fleets repurposed into exploratory armadas. "You've turned a mess into a miracle," she told Kai one evening over a shared meal, her usual dry wit softened by genuine admiration. Hybrid heroics, who knew? As Zarathia's citadels stabilized, the trio returned to the crystal spire, not as fugitives but as honored guests. The central crystal, once a tool of manipulation, now pulsed with purified energy, its light a beacon for the reformed council. They stood at its base during a ceremonial rededication. Hands joined as before, but this time without holograms or hidden agendas. The elders' trial had exposed the full web of deceit, generations of engineered lives, including their own, but it also revealed forgotten archives of true prophecies, visions of harmony between worlds, not domination. Kai felt the helix gene resonate as the crystal activated fully under their voluntary union, a warm surge that enhanced not just him, but all three, syncing their strengths in a harmonious flow. Lyra's tactical mind sharpened, Zara's inventions sparked with new inspiration, and Kai's human resilience amplified, turning them into a triad that could face any cosmic storm. Life settled into a beautiful cadence. They claimed a floating estate on Zarathia's outer rings, a haven of gardens that bloomed under twin moons and workshops where Zara tinkered endlessly. Kai resumed his scavenging ways, but now on grander scales, salvaging ancient wrecks to uncover lost technologies, always with the sisters by his side. Lyra led training academies, teaching hybrid tactics that blended human grit with Zarathian elegance, her classes filled with eager students who saw her not as royalty, but as a legend. Evenings were for them alone, gathered on balconies overlooking nebulae, sharing stories that wove their past into a tapestry of triumph. "Remember when I first found you two in the ruins?" Kai would say, pulling them close. Lyra's laughter rang like chimes. "Huddled and scared? Look at us now, conquerors of fate." Zara, ever the dreamer, added, "and lovers against all odds." Their intimacies evolved too, tender and profound, the awkward truths fading into acceptance, their bond a celebration of what made them whole. Challenges arose, as they do in any galaxy, skirmishes with lingering Dravex remnants, diplomatic hiccups with Earth's bureaucracy, but each was met with the unbreakable spirit they'd cultivated. One memorable incident involved a rogue AI from an old Earth experiment, awakened by their crystal tech, that decided to optimize Zarathia's weather patterns into eternal rain. The trio infiltrated its core, Kai's gene countering its psychic hacks while Lyra dismantled defenses and Zara reprogrammed the system. Amid the downpour, as they slogged through flooded corridors, Kai slipped on a puddle, landing flat on his back with a splash. Lyra hauled him up, water dripping from her hair. "Graceful as always, brother," Zara giggled, her suit soaked. "At least it's not perfume this time." The humor carried them through, turning peril into another shared memory. Years passed, the alliance blossoming into a federation of worlds, with Kai, Lyra, and Zara at its heart. They explored uncharted sectors, discovering planets teeming with life, forging pacts that echoed their own unity. Kai often reflected on his origins, the scavenger boy who stumbled into destiny, marveling at how compassion had sparked it all. "Humans fuck yeah," he'd say with a grin, the old HFY mantra a toast to their resilience. Lyra and Zara embraced it, their alien grace complemented by that indomitable will, proving that love, in all its forms, could bridge any divide. In quieter moments, as they watched sunsets on distant worlds, Kai held them close, the three of them a perfect constellation. He didn't just survive. He whispered one such evening, the sky ablaze with colors. "We thrived." Lyra kissed his temple, her pointed ear brushing his cheek. "Because of you, our savior, our equal." Zara nestled against him, her hand over his heart. "And our forever." The galaxy, vast and unforgiving, had tested them beyond measure, but in the end, it yielded to their spirit. No more prophecies or betrayals, just endless horizons, explored together. And as their story spread across the stars, inspiring countless others, it became legend, the human who fed alien sisters, only for them to return his kindness 1,000-fold, weaving a bond that redefined what it meant to be family, lovers, and heroes in the cosmos. Their adventures continued, but the true ending was in the everyday, the laughter in their home, the warmth of shared dreams, the knowledge that no twist could break what they'd built. Kai Voss, once a lone wanderer, had found his place among the stars, anchored by two extraordinary women who saw in him the best of humanity, and in that, the story found its perfect close, a testament to love's enduring power in the face of infinity. And there you have it, the epic journey of Kai, Lyra, and Zara comes to a close, their unbreakable bond lighting the way for a brighter galaxy. What started as a simple act of kindness evolved into a legend of love, resilience, and cosmic unity. Personally, I love how this story celebrates humanity's spirit while blending romance and sci-fi twists. It's inspiring and full of heart. What do you think? Would you want a sequel exploring their new adventures? Thank you so much for watching. Your likes, subs, comments, and shares are our biggest motivation to create even better stories. Hit that button and let us know your thoughts.